Welcome to BPM, a rhythm FPS where you shoot, jump, and dodge to the beat of an epic rock soundtrack. Now I'm really late to the party when it comes to talking about BPM, but I'm still excited to talk about it nonetheless. To explain how the game works, you go through levels killing monsters in different areas until you make it to the end of the level and face off against a boss. This may sound very similar to the last video I did in which I covered Metal Hellsinger. Well, that's because they're two different takes on the rhythm FPS idea and share influences. However, they're different enough for me to enjoy both for what each game does. Like I said in my last video, Metal is like Doom meets DDR. The same is true for BPM. The way I see it though, Metal is more akin to Doom 2016, while BPM is a mix between classic Doom and Doom 2016. BPM is a roguelike game, meaning all the levels are connected on a run, so you have to start at Asgard if you don't already have a saved run. This also means, as the run goes on, the points you spend to get stronger play a factor. So why do I enjoy BPM? Well, the reasons are the same as Metal. I enjoyed rhythm and FPS games in the past, power fantasy, especially in the later levels when you're strong enough, and I just like to vibe and shoot things. However, I find that I play Metal a bit more than BPM for a couple of reasons. Number one, time. Metal has the luxury of allowing me to jump in when I want to and not have to lock in for a solid 30-40 minutes. So when I want a 15-minute adventure, Metal is the go-to. BPM, on the other hand, takes more time and has more build-up for the payoff. 2. Skill floor. The thing with rhythm games is you have to be able to stay on beat. So in games like Guitar Hero, they have different difficulties to accommodate different skill levels. Metal does this in two different ways: the difficulty at the start level and the music and score system. Meaning the higher the multiplier, the more music you hear. So if you need help to get on beat, the game simplifies things so you don't get distracted. BPM, on the other hand, just has a setting to be more lenient in regards to being on beat. The major difference between the two is BPM you need to be at least close to being on beat in order to do things, while Metal you can shoot off beat for a little penalty. Now BPM does have a setting where you don't need to be on beat and it just is auto, but it disables the score multiplier and it really feels like your hand is being held. So why do I think you should play it? Number one, it's a good entry. This was my first roguelike and my first rhythm FPS, and I feel like it's a good entry into both genres. Unlike Metal, BPM, the game, keeps a consistent BPM beats per minute throughout the soundtrack. That consistency helped me when trying to get coordinated and learn the game. The only thing I would add to make things better is a dictionary, as some levels have different statuses, and not knowing the difference between a Baron level and a Midas level could change how the run goes. Hint, Baron, you get very little coins and stuff, whereas Midas, you get tons of coins. 2. Variety. BPM has a variety of ways to play, such as a variety of characters that you can unlock, each having different starting equipment and stats. For instance, Fildor starts with less health than Gull and starts with a different weapon. Freyr starts with only a shield instead of health, and Run adds a randomizer to each run. There's also a good amount of weapons and abilities you can find along the run, and yes, you can mod different songs into the game. BPM's modding system is actually really easy compared to Metal's, but it's understandable since Metal uses a system to allow looping sections according to the level. That being said, there is still room for error. I was able to mod a couple songs into BPM and have it work for the level. However, I was not able to get the indicator to match up with the BPM in the song and it fell off. So what you're actually watching right here is me using that setting I talked about earlier where it does it automatically for you. Number 3, it's fun. It's hard to describe, but I can only bring up flow state. I'm sure that there are others that like challenges in games and will go through attempt after attempt after attempt after attempt just to find a way to succeed, and for me that usually comes when I'm in the zone and all the failed attempts point me to what I need to do to win. Now I wouldn't put BPM in the same categories as Souls and Souls-like games, but there is a degree of challenge, especially if we bump up the difficulty. All of this also goes for Metal, by the way. Now I have played BPM a ton, so I know how to approach levels and set myself up for success, so I can easily complete runs. But I can still tap into that flow state if I need to by choosing different characters and harder difficulties. Before I end the video, I do have to mention something that I didn't know when I played BPM heavily, and that's to do with the assets. If you didn't notice already, some of the assets in BPM were originally from Paragon, a game made by Epic Games before Fortnite popped off, and while all the assets are okay to use, I feel some type of way about it. Like, I'm okay with them using assets that are available and everything, but I think originally I was under the perception that they only used a few. However, now that I played Predecessor, the community-made Paragon remake, I noticed a lot more assets that were used. Still, I'm fine with their use, but I wanted to include the information just in case that's a deal breaker for you. Anyway, if you would like to give BPM a try, I have the Steam link below. If you're still split between Metal Helsing or BPM, I would say try a demo out. It's the best way to find out if it's for you, in my opinion. They're both fun, but have differences that you may like or dislike, which should help you decide what you prefer. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you had any thoughts or questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section, and I hope everyone has a nice day. I'll see you next time.